I've been involved with barbecue, man, since I was a little boy, helping my daddy with his pit, cleaning everything out, lighting his fires.
I don't have like these cool barbecue stories. I'm kind of like Kirby. When I was growing up, it was like the grill came out on the 4th of July, Memorial Day. So like that was like the happiest days of like childhood right there. And I was just like, I think from that, I was like, well, I can't get more of this.
Why ain't we controlling this? Because we started it, right? So we got to speak our truths. And and that's how I got in the game. And I found Jeff, and we hooked up a few times, and it's been history ever since, man.
And we are live. Everybody, welcome to the Black Smoke Barbecue podcast. I'm Brandon Carpenter from BKC Cooks, and I'm joined today with a good group of my Black Smoke Barbecue brothers. Starting off, we got Alton from the Dog Fathers Barbecue. Alton, what's good, brother?
Hey, what's cracking, man? What's cracking? Looking forward to this fantastic show. I'm doing great in thawed out Austin, Texas now, so hey, it's all good, man.
Yeah, we finally thawing out, man. What's new with you?
Man, I can't call it, man. I'm just going day by day and just trying to make it. Trying to be like you, big brother.
Hey, you'll regret it. You'll regret it. You got any new cooks or anything exciting you've been working on, man?
Well, you've been to Barbecue Boulevard. You see what we got back here. We might be adding to the repertoire back here. So I'm going to just say, stay tuned. You'll see.
Well, just let me know and I'll mosey on down the street and check you out.
Come on over, with us Texans. Come on over.
That's right. And we got my man Charlie Mav from Maverick Barbecue. What's good, Charlie?
What up, brother? Blessed and highly favored to be here tonight talking to these great group of brothers.
I can dig it, man. What's new with you, man? What's fresh on the pit?
I'm just trying to figure out what this weather's doing so I know when I can go out and play, because God and me ain't on the same page right now. So whenever I get a chance, the wife is like throwing a steak, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So,
well, you know what they say, man. Man plans and God laughs. So just get them in while you can, brother.
For real.
And my man, the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, Eddie Wright. Eddie, what's going on, brother?
I'm trying to avoid the political realm every single day. And log on to Twitter. Everybody wants me to run for office. I refuse, but I do have all these great talking points, and I refuse to let people act like we are the problem here in the center of the universe. My sunny, ever so overgoverned.
Well, I only speak to your popularity, brother. I wouldn't lay any responsibility for any few things that might be happening on your shoulders. What's new, brother? Other than, listen, y'all. Congrats to Eddie. Sweet Charlene, I saw is in Kroger's in a bunch of locations. Right on.
There you go.
How's that feeling, bro?
It feels great. I'll tell you something that feels even better. I'm a grown-up now. I have a check binder that I got from the bank.
Look at him.
I have a check binder. So Third Italian Sauces and Seasonings, which is the subsidiary that carries Sweet Charlene, we had separated for insurance. We have checks. We'll have 1,000. We'll put on 5. But I have a binder, and I have them just in case anything crazy happens. And I'm very happy about it.
Hey, nice. We're going places, man. I know the feeling.
Only do it.
So we grown now.
I know the feeling.
He's a big kid now.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, we have a great pod planned today, and we have a fantastic guest, someone we've been looking forward to getting on the pod for quite some time. He is a very interesting guy, quite a sensation on TikTok. And this brother, he kind of does it all. He's doing catering, food truck, he's doing sauces, he's doing seasonings. I'm going to let him explain all that. We have our brother Felix Irving, the sauce boss from Who's That Barbecue. Felix, what's going on, brother?
Thank you guys for having me. I have been looking forward to this day ever since I've been introduced to Black Smoke Barbecue. I've watched a bunch of y'all content. Unfortunately, not everyone's content because life's been kind of busy. but I'm catching up, and it just feels real good to be here right now and be in front of the, echelon of Black Smoke Barbecue.
Hey man, we're glad to have you here, man. It truly is an honor, man. I want to dig in, man. You just made a really, really big transition. You made a move that is a hell of a move. Can you explain to us what you did?
Yeah. So I started my company up in South Dakota, where I retired out of the Air Force in 2014. Started Sauce and Seasonings, going pretty good. Real good community up there. Some decent support. The food truck was always kind of hanging out in the wind, up there. But at the end of the day, people up there don't really eat. They're not really about food. You're not up in South Dakota for food, especially Rapid City. You're there for the Black Hills, for the open spaces. It's a beautiful country, real nice people. But when you start rolling a food truck, especially the way I built my food truck out, I have overhead. I didn't start small. I'm retired military. I believe 100% that you live and die by your gear. And I worked hard enough to get the gear I have so I can be presented in any situation, because when I was just doing sauces and seasonings, I had big companies come to me wanting me in their stores. So I went with the same philosophy. If I'm going to step out on the ledge with my sauce and seasonings and make them 100% bulletproof, where they can go to Kroger's, Walmart or whatever, I wanted to have a food truck that if someone walks up to me and wants me at a big show or a big event, I have the ability to do that. But in South Dakota, they just did not have the ability to support me financially. Having a place where you have 70,000 people on a good day. We did the Sturgis Motorcycle Rally last year, 16 days, and only made about 20 grand. That was a big hit. And I have a buddy who I was stationed with up in Ellsworth, South Dakota, who we were always kind of talking about the business. And he's down here in Mobile. And he's like, dude, I'm at the Gulf Coast. I got like 2 million people within 2 hours. You could be in Florida, Mississippi, up here, Louisiana. And it was kind of shit to get off the pot. Sorry for my French. But I just had to do it because it was like, do I quit? And that's not me. There is no quit. I'm going to ride this baby till the wheels fall off. So I literally loaded this thing up with half my life and drove down to Mobile, Alabama. Everything did not work out like projected. That's life. But everything works out for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And we are just starting to get up and rolling, doing some little events here and there. Working with the amazing Mobile County Health Department. Love you guys. So that's what we're doing. That's what's going on.
Nice shout out.
Friends of the podcast, the Mobile County Health Department. So I have to imagine Mobile from South Dakota, man. That's got to be just like a complete 180 as far as demographic and everything else.
It is, and oddly enough, I changed my menu up because I came down here and I'm like, I'm gonna just roll traditional barbecue, because up there I was doing like jerk chicken, nachos, egg rolls, tacos, normal barbecue sandwiches and stuff, and my sides were mac and cheese. I was doing street corn bowls, not much red beans and rice, but mainly like coleslaw and stuff. And then I came down here and the same thing plays. And what I found out is it's not about what you cook, it's how you cook it. It's how you present it. And do my stuff traditional barbecue, and everything has my own flair on it, and when I finally did my menu, people were like, yeah, they had my ribs, they liked it. They had, my chicken and stuff. But when I started doing what I normally do, which is, I call it Fusion Creole, they loved it. They loved it down here. So the demographic, I haven't hit everybody. But as soon as Mardi Gras is over, I do plan on getting out to Mobile proper and letting people really hit my stuff up.
Nice.
A lot of private events right now.
So I'm curious to know, back in South Dakota, what was your top seller on your food truck?
My top seller on my food truck in South Dakota, well, one was my brisket, kimchi, and Havarti cheese egg rolls. and my nachos.
What was the demographic up there? That's kind of, vast.
White.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Straight shooter.
Did you rather push it on like that?
South Dakota. It's like
we ain't gonna waste no time. You know what it is,
like, I was in South Dakota since 2009, and when I was there in 2009, I guarantee you, I probably knew almost every black person that was up there because we were all from the base. It did start getting more diverse with people coming in from other countries and just other places. You start actually seeing black people working around town. It was just like, oh my God, like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And that's just because South Dakota is, people are coming. The opportunity is great up there, and the people are just nice. You are not, and it's weird to say, but you're not a black man in South Dakota. You're just a man.
Really? Okay.
Because up there it's just a different culture. So just small little story. I got married up there, and we were using the Lions Club, and the Elk Lodge. And so we go down in this room in the Elk Lodge, and they have all these historical pictures on the wall. As we're walking down, I notice all these pictures, everyone's in blackface. And these are like black and white pictures. And I'm like, well, I got family coming from New Orleans. So I'm talking to the lady. I'm like, hey, I'm not that guy. I don't want to like change your stuff up, but could you like hang some stuff over these? And she goes, why? And they didn't even know.
Yeah.
I literally had to send her a documentary on YouTube because she had no idea. I said, because if my dad comes down, here in Louisiana, my dad comes down here from Louisiana and sees this, he is going to burn this place down.
Burn it, yeah.
He's going to burn it to the ground.
And they told me what it was about, and I said, "Oh, I get it. That was the sign of the times. It was actually a benefit they were doing for charity, and it was that whole thing, because they were playing instruments, big band, and it's up in the Dakotas, but they don't have black people, so they did black. It was so you saw it, you're like, wow, they had no freaking clue.
Wow.
But that's what it is like there. Like you can't, I'm not that person that's gonna get mad at you if you're not educated. I'd rather educate than berate. I'm not going to berate someone that's not educated on the point. I'd rather educate you than berate you on something you don't know about. And I went to many events after that, and guess what? Those pictures were never up again.
See,
they didn't put them back up after the wedding. They just never put them back up.
Yeah.
They did not know. But like I said, the place was great. They just could not economically keep me up there because people really don't come out to eat good food. I got a critique once that my brisket had seasoning on it. Well,
I mean,
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, sir.
I mean,
what's the salt and pepper doing on my food?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Oh, Lord.
Call the health department on you. How dare you throw that on there?
Health department? Yeah, he put this stuff on my food. It made it taste. What did it taste like? It just tasted.
I feel the high blood pressure. It's percolating.
Yeah, my heart is just palpitating. I don't understand what's going on.
Oh, Lord. And like I said, the people were nice when we did have customers. I mean, they were loyal. To the point where we had a guy who I was at a brewery on Friday. He had nachos. He told me, he left. He gave my card. I was going to be at a brewery for the next 2 days at another spot. He came back and I was like, cool. And he was with his family. His niece walked up. She goes, my uncle came from New York. He was supposed to leave yesterday. He stayed for 2 more days just to eat my food.
Like,
that's awesome.
So it was very like the people that love the food, that love to eat, that love the experience, like some seasoning. I've tried lobster rolls. I did crawfish egg rolls. That's why I'm Datz, because I don't want to put on the outside of my food truck what I cook. So I'm not just hamstrung into doing the same old thing over and over again.
Let me tell you something. An individual who does what he cooks on his truck, people will still come to your truck and ask you, what do you cook?
Somebody gave you something and y'all didn't give me nothing.
Dude, I've had people walk up to my menu and look at my menu, then ask me if I had ribs.
Yeah.
After he looked at the menu.
Yeah, they're like, you got ribs in it? Like, right here on the window. You got some potato salad? Like
barbecue. Yeah, I hate that one. You got potato salad? No, I don't. I don't have it. No, I'm sorry.
No. What kind of bread you got? Like,
Jesus, it's the wildest question.
The best part about business is people, and the worst part about business
is people.
This is true.
Absolutely. So, Felix, I got to ask you this, man. I mean, I saw some of the pictures of your shots of your food up there. And I mean, the tacos you made look fantastic. The egg rolls look fantastic. Yeah. You made that move down south. And, I can see where you kind of changed up a little bit. I see some collard greens and, things of that nature going on. And so I'm curious, when you came down and you brought some of those, because I'm assuming you brought some of those items with you, from South Dakota.
Yes.
How did that initially go over, with the public coming to get your food, man? I mean, I'm sure you served them some tacos and some egg rolls to start. How'd that go?
Oh, they loved it. The very first event where I went back to my normal menu was at one of the performance shops up here, literally about 5 minutes away from the house. And the owners came with about 20 of their friends, and it was a big lunch rush. I served them all up, and I'm just looking in the parking lot, and I was like, no one else was coming. So I was like sitting here looking. I'm like, well, they're not coming to burn the trailer down. So I walked out, and I just had to get that review, like, hey, how was it? And everyone was just like, amazing. They had one lady, they had probably not even a 1-year-old baby. And she said she had tacos. She goes, the 1-year-old baby grabbed the taco and bit it. And she goes, that was her first brisket. And she just mounded it. She was like, they were like, it was great. My flavors are clean. I cook real clean. It doesn't take a lot to make good food. Like my taco is just corn tortilla, lightly heated up on the griddle, put the meat in, some salsa verde, some pico de gallo, little cheese, serve it with 2 limes, and let her rip.
And that is seasoned,
and then I use
right?
Yes, seasoned brisket, seasoned with B5S. And I've learned from, a trial and error. I used to have meat for the tacos sitting on the griddle in little 1/6 pans, heated with lime and different Latin seasonings in them, trying it out. But it's just like, that was a lot of extra work. And I'm like, let me just go back to I've always learned. You don't need to church anything up. Just do it like you do it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it like you do it.
Just do it like you do it. That's a very good way. We always love to do it as Pitmasters. We're going to talk about gear. Now, I'm an avid collector of gear. I think everybody here is. You've recently acquired a new pit. I've been excited about it, and I don't even have a pit of this magnitude, but I know the brand. I know the history of that particular brand, and I know me and Felix have been talking for a very long time. We've met on TikTok, and it was an instant connection. So a lot of the things he's been going through, I know of firsthand. But tell me how it felt to actually finally get your hands, after all of the wait period and the backlog, to get your hands finally on your stump smoker.
Oh man, it was great. The dealing with the company was interesting. I'll just say that. But luckily, I didn't have to have them ship it. I drove the whole trailer down. I have my old smoker off, and I brought it over there. I actually met the guy. So the post I put on TikTok, and there's a Mexican gentleman next to me named David. He is literally the man who built my pit. He told me a couple things about it. And it's just been a perfect marriage. I knew exactly what I was getting my hands on, and it's just, I can't say enough about it. She smokes amazingly. The seasoning on it, when I first seasoned her, I put a full bag and a half, 17-pound B&B charcoal. It smoked for 23 hours straight, nonstop. It could have went longer, but I had to shut her down. And yeah, it's built like a bank vault. Like that door is, if you're not level,
Oh, it's gonna let you know.
That baby comes swinging in,
Ka-clunk.
and I have a chain on it. I have a little chain on it now, so I don't die. But it's great. It's great. It's great. It comes with 8 racks, gravity fed. They even told me, like, you don't put wood in the chimney because it adds extra moisture to the chimney. You just throw wood on the, at the bottom. The little when you see those pictures of the stump smokers and there's that brass fitting on there, it's for the fan unit. Mm-hmm. And I use a Flame Boss 500. This is what runs the whole
Pelican
pit.
Case, ladies and gentlemen.
I put it in. It does not come in a Pelican case, but this is $500. So hell yeah! And so this runs the whole pit, and that controls this itty bitty little fan to run that giant pit.
Man,
yeah, that's what runs that giant pit. And the cool thing is, I bought this little adapter cable. I can run that whole pit off of a rechargeable battery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you don't have power to your, you want to power up your whole generator one night if you're at an event and you just want to roll smoke, you can just hook it up and roll smoke. The control unit is super simple, super easy. You can temp meat and the smoker on it. I use my Inkbird T4 mainly for making sure my meat's at the right temp, just because I like the Inkbird, and it's easy to use over just relying on that guy, because it does come with one internal probe and one meat probe. So, and I already have the Inkbirds, so I like them. By far, they've been one of the best probes I've ever tried, and for the price, you can't really beat it. So, but that thing right there is literally a set it, and I have to get comfortable putting my meat on there and going to sleep, because I'm used to my master build where I have to get up and load it up again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that will smoke. Now, mind you, I have not had it loaded with meat, and I know that's going to be a difference if I do put. I think they can do 28 20-pound briskets. That's a difference.
That's beautiful.
If I do that much meat, I know I'm going to have to, it's going to take way more charcoal to get through because meat's a heat sink. Yeah. But so far, the most I've done is 30 pounds of chicken, 40 pounds of butts, and I think I did 20 pounds of brisket at once. And literally everything, like chicken's done, butts were done, brisket was just like bam, 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 perfect. Wow. In perfect succession, perfect timing. I can't say enough about it. There's about a half pan on the bottom to catch all the drippings. Besides cleaning it, I have no complaints about the smoker. You keep the seals clean and she'll run for you forever.
I love it, man. I'm a big fan of gravity fed smokers. I have a char griller Gravity 980, and I absolutely love cooking on that thing, man. What made you choose gravity fed over something like pellets or even just a traditional stick burner?
Well, just how I am. I was a fabricator in the military, real mechanically minded kind of person, design engineer. And when I first saw that gravity fed commercial from Master Build, I saw that commercial way back, and I'm like, that just makes fucking sense. Oh, thank you, bro. Mm-hmm. That just makes sense.
I didn't bring any sauce or anything.
You could. It just made sense. They showed the charcoal in the chamber falling down, so I'm thinking, well, you don't have to worry about like the whole lighting and it going out, because once it's lit, gravity and air is going to handle it. And so actually I got it for Father's Day one year because I had an Oklahoma Joe's pellet, and I still had those two together. And after looking at it and dealing with all the issues with pellet grills, auger jams, swollen pellets, and whatnot, and on this thing, the only mechanical part is a fan. It was just like, it was a no-brainer. Yeah. Like, even if that fan doesn't work, I can still get air to flow into it, and it was just effortless. And then after using the Master Build 1050, especially using it on my food truck, it was like that. I would do 2 20-pound briskets on it, fill up the chimney, put some wood in there. I knew I had about 4 hours. I would have to fill it up again. I can go to bed, literally went to sleep, woke up and forgot I was smoking. And I was like, oh shit, I got a brisket on. Ran out. That brisket was wrapped up perfectly at 205. That smoker was at 120. Just chilling. It was like, I was like, yeah, I've been quite lucky. I've been quite lucky, but it worked out because it burned down just like the first burn down. And there was only about, I will say, 4 inches of charcoal on the bottom. And it was just kind of chilling, you know. And after that, you know, I'm like, I need to get an industrial joint. I was looking at Eddie's, you know, pits. And then I'm like, and I always been looking at those stump smokers, you know, and I'm just like, Gravity, just, you know, I love the Gravity fed. And I was looking at Gravity industrial fed smokers, and that company, unless you make a custom one, that was the biggest non-custom smoker you can buy on the industrial side. They make bigger, but that's a custom order.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, hey, I got a question for you there, Felix. I got two. I'm gonna sneak in 2 questions for you. Okay. So one, I want to know, you know, outside of cooking for the business, what is your favorite thing to cook and why? And also, if you weren't in the barbecue business, what would you be doing?
My favorite thing to cook on the real is brisket, steak, tomahawks. I just love them. I love the reverse sear tomahawk. Bring that baby up to like 110, 115 max. Crank that smoker up to 600. Get that nice sear on there. Let it rest with my caramelite, my butter, my infused butter with garlic or whatever, or whipped butter, because I don't really show that, but I do a lot of things with like infused butters, and I let it sit for that 10 minutes. Then, man, I did one, and it's on my TikTok, where I tried to cut it, but it was falling apart. So I'm like, you can't really tell, but I actually had to hold it with my hand, and I'm trying to actually cut it, but it was like it fell off the bone, and it's just like, man. Dude, I could eat that shit all day. Like if I go to Sam's, I need to stay away from that section of the meat department. Like briskets over here. If I walk by a tomahawk, I'm just like, it's all good. It's just yeah. But if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably still be in South Dakota, doing archery, instructing firearms, shooting guns, riding my motorcycle.
Did you say archery?
Archery.
Yeah, like Hunger Games.
Right, like Hunger Games.
Like Hunger Games. So a big thing in our community, being veterans, they call it lead therapy, where you go out shooting, you know, shooting targets, hitting steel at long range, shooting steel close range with rifles, and it kind of releases a lot of stress and anxiety. And but you can't just always, well, where I live in South Dakota, I could just go out in my backyard and shoot if I wanted to, but it's just loud, you know, and I guess if you live in Chicago, you can do that too. But anyway, you know,
damn.
But literally. But it was one of those things where I was talking to someone about archery, and of course, Joe Rogan. Listening to Joe Rogan and another guy, Jocko Willink, who's retired Navy SEAL, listened to his podcast, and they were talking about archery and how like calming it was just shooting and listening to I can't think of his name right now, but he's another archer. He runs like 200-mile marathons, but they always talked about how peaceful out hunting in the woods with a bow was. And one day I went to Cabela's. My friend worked there. He was an outfitter. He set me up with a bow. They have a little 20-yard range in the back. I pulled that bow back, and I launched that arrow. It hit the target, and I was sold.
Be like, got him.
It was the focus, the quiet was better than lead therapy. Like, because it's a whole body thing, the way you stand, the way, you know, the way you hold your arms, and then you release that arrow, and you just hear sometimes you hear that string, you hear the swoosh, and sometimes you hear and you can see it. It's a whole, when you shoot a gun, you don't see the bullet, You know, you see the impact sometimes with that archery. It's up close. It's very quiet. And where I live in South Dakota, I can do it out my backyard. Matter of fact, I just set up a range in my friend's backyard, even though we live in the county, but it's 20 yards. And you go out there when you're having a shitty day, you can't focus. You get that arrow, you know, that set up in your hand. You get out there, you shoot, you hold it, you focus on your target, and you hit it. But by far, if I wasn't doing this, I would be doing that, riding my motorcycle, shooting guns.
Wow.
Nice.
So I got a question for you. You touched on a couple of times social media and podcasts, and we're all content creators here. So what got you into the content creation world?
So dealing with vets, watching a lot of different podcasts, listen to podcasts. I started a network I was a part of a network with some veterans. And like a lot of things dealing with people get attitudes and issues, want to be the boss. So after I retired, guess what? I don't have to deal with that. So bye. But literally, I quit a network with some people, and people were calling me going, what happened? We need, like, we want our show back. Like, we need this. And it was one of those, like, I didn't know that it was that necessary in my community as a veteran, that we were giving that. I thought we were just online doing this on StreamYard, just clowning around. And one night I get this call from an older Navy vet who was on it. I could tell he was on the edge. And so I call my buddy who I'm staying with. I'm like, yo, Webb. He goes, what's up? He wasn't even in the game like that. I'm like, hey, you want to get online for a couple hours and fuck around? He goes, yeah. And I made up a name. We went live, and then we started Veterans Anonymous. And at the end of it, we had 5 shows, 5 days a week, different titles, handling different topics, different subjects. And it just kind of pulled me into that world of podcasting, content creation on that level. But of course, as a lot of things happen, people, get big heads and want to do this and that. And I'm drama averted. As soon as it becomes dramaful, I'm like,
I'm
out. As soon as I get mad, I'm just like, I'm out.
Life too short for that, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And when it comes to what I do for my business, I don't really like the term content creator, because I like to give a look-see into my whole outfit. Like, I'll be in here cleaning, deep cleaning, and I tell people, I'm like, this is what you don't get to see. I'm under my sink and I'm up here scrubbing shit and taking stuff apart, because I want you to see that everything in barbecue is not all beautiful and presented like, oh, here you go. Right. Like, because that's what I think puts people off when they see this perfect, cutting board, meat slap, seasoning, grill, this $1,000 freaking Weber kettle. And everyone's like, oh, that looks cool, but I can't do that. But then you see me cooking in my kitchen, and at my house, I have 5 dogs. I be cutting shit. A piece of meat will drop on the floor. My dog runs off with it. I'm like, God dang it, and I'm just doing it. I'm doing it real, because I'm showing you what it really is. It doesn't always work out perfect. It's not always pretty, but it tastes good, and I like to think that I'm not just giving you content. I'm actually letting you in on who I am. Right. I used to do a morning spot on TikTok, Breakfast with the Boss, and I know a lot of the stuff, they want this content, but I'm a one-man show with seasonings, food truck, catering, and everything. So it's very hard for me to multitask that far.
What's your favorite platform to post to? We heard some TikTok. How about TikTok by far? By a wide margin?
TikTok by far is because even though it is restrictive somewhat for what I do, because I love me. I'm from the South. Having a drink while you're cooking, playing music it's in my blood. And on Instagram and Facebook, you cannot do that. So TikTok, you can. So I'm leaning toward what lets me, when I'm just doing my thing, be as free as I can without, this restriction. So it lets people see what I do, because I've tried it on Instagram and then I get like banned and booted for music. I'm like, I ain't making no money on this. I'm just playing music at my house, And so I like it. Plus on TikTok, the work that I put in on Facebook and Instagram in the past, if I would have put a quarter of that work into my TikTok, I'd be a millionaire by now. Like, I had my only blow-ups on TikTok where I was shipping out 70 boxes a night for 2 months straight.
Ooh.
Like, I was living in my shipping room for like 2 months. Like, literally leaving my room with box. I was going to the post office, the back of my Chevy, the back of the bed, and the back seat full of boxes. Like, the post office, when I walk up, they would see me and tell me to go around back.
Damn, you had it like that.
Like,
yeah,
that only happened because of TikTok.
All right now.
Nice.
And also a friend of mine that they have a peanut butter company, which has done another blow up thanks to Keith Lee. They blew up because of TikTok. They literally went from doing vendor shows with me to having a $20 million book company or whatever it was. Just like,
wow,
you know,
that's awesome.
Sky's the limit.
Okay, sky's the limit. Gonna use that as a segue. Hopefully, this is a personal question. And the plan go through.
Could you ask that again? You kind of broke up.
Okay. I know there have been some bumps and bruises along the way with the relocation. Is there anything you can kind of go in depth about as far as how things worked in South Dakota versus how they work now in Mobile?
How long we got? So in South Dakota, when I got my food truck, I submitted my plans. Literally submitted my plan. I built it, submitted my plans to them. I called the head of the health department. She was like, "Oh, are you home? I'm in your area." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'll stop by and just take a look." I'm like, "All right, cool." And at the time, my AC unit had caught fire 2 days before, so this whole thing was hanging down to about here in my food truck, and everything was just dusty with smoke. And so she shows up, she walks in, she pulls out her clipboard, and I'm like, I thought you were just gonna tell me what I needed. She goes, "Oh, I'm gonna just inspect you right now." I'm like, but I got the fire. She goes, "Oh, don't worry about that." I was like, she goes, "That's not I don't care about that." She looked at my countertops, my sink. She looked at my fridge and freezers. She looked at my stove and everything and looked at it and went to my garage where I had dry storage, looked at that. And she goes, "All right, cool, 99. I was like, all right. And they would look at me on social media to find where I was at. They would come around, do an inspection. They were like, cool. One guy walked up one day, didn't even know his health department. He had his hat up and he came up to my counter and he was hiding his shirt. He goes, "Hey man, that sink work?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Turn it on for me." I was like, "Shh." He goes, "All right, cool, you pass." I'm like, and he stepped up, put his hat down. I'm like, "You sneaky son of a bitch." You know, and that's as easy as it was on every level. The company, they use a private company, not in the part with their government. They inspect the hoods, they maintain the hoods, they inspect your bottles, they inspect all your fire extinguishers for you. They sell all of it, and they're separate from they're separate from the city and the state, but it's a bonded, licensed company that does that. Here, Mobile Fire Department didn't even do half the stuff that guy who inspected my shit did. They never took the filters out to look at the links. They just looked at everything and was like, "All right, you're good." So that was cool. Health department, on the other hand, before I got here, because due diligence, I know how stuff works. So I called them before I got here, before I made the trip. They were like, "Oh, come down. You know, you're already running. We'll do, you know, you'll just submit your paperwork. We'll get you an inspection and you'll be rocking and rolling." So I get here, submit my paperwork. They're like, "Yeah, it's going to be like 90 to like 120 days. I'm like, "For what? Like, you guys told me, like, I can get inspected." Like, "Well, we're backed up. We got 18 people in the office of 30, and I'm like, "But you told me," they're like, And then so I submitted, I personally went down there and submitted my paperwork and emailed, got some phone numbers, and I talked to the lady. And then it went from like, I finally got a hold of my inspector. He looked at it. Then it went to some other person's desk. And then it's at some other person's desk. And then they call me, they're like, "Well, we see this and that." I'm like, and you know, it's some tight, cramped spaces if you look at it, but you can reach the hand washing sink. I got the soap and the towels, triple rinse sink. She's looking at the plans. I took pictures. for them, and they're just like, well, the one thing is on your back porch, your 7-foot back porch, you need screens around your porch. I'm like, for what? They're like, well, because you have a smoker back there. I'm like, okay. They're like, well, flies are attracted to smoke, and that's where you put raw meat in the. I'm like, no, there's nothing attracted to smoke.
What?
I'm like, there's nothing on the planet unless there's dragons that are attracted. Now, mind you, I wasn't condescending, I wasn't smart, but in my brain, I'm like, there's nothing attracted to smoke, and I can get it if it's an in-place restaurant and you have a pit in one spot and the area around that pit gets dirty and the area gets flies, but that's not this. This is a mobile unit, it's 2 feet out my door. And the guy goes, well, if you could just cover outside the door I'm like, what do you want to have, like that little ET tunnel they use in NASA to go to the space station? I'm like, what do you want me to do? They're like, well, just put some screens up. And the fire department's like, I said, isn't that like a safety hazard with smoke collecting on it? He goes, yeah. I'm like, well, how? And then the lady, she goes, well, sir, it's in the reg. It's in the regulation. I'm like, well, regulations can be amended. She goes, but it's already written down. And I'm like, but
they have to be so you can amend them.
And
correct.
And the tone of her voice was that tone of someone I can only say it was in a cult. That you're not telling them the earth's not flat. Like, you are that person. And so I was like, okay.
I know how this works. I've been here since 1947.
Right?
Yeah.
I said what I said.
Nothing changes.
He goes, do you have a separate wash bin for your other employees? Like that kind of shit. Like, and I was like, there's no way. I gave the most logical argument back. And she was like, but it's written down, sir. I was like,
glad you can read.
Earth is flat, sir. It's flat.
Flat, sir.
You take that New York attitude back to New York.
You don't take that Yankee back up there with them Yankees. With your
you better than us?
What do you want to do? You better than us?
City boy. Who taught you how to read and write?
Yeah. We do things a certain way down here.
Hey, she probably followed up with, I bet you put seasoning on your meat too, don't you?
Oh my god. So I went through a couple talking to my buddy Webb, who I'm staying with. He's an engineer, fabricator, machinist. I'm a fabricator, hand fab, sheet metal. And we were going through a bunch of stuff, trying a bunch of designs and ideas. Finally, I ran into a guy that he knows who has an employee. Very low budget. We found he's going to make me some screens that are removable. And on the bottom gates, it's kind of cool. The bottom gates of my trailer are the sheet metal that was on Webb's parents' roof back in the day. So the old wood rusty patina, we sealed them. So technically that's sealed. And then so I only have to put screens on the top portion. So I got all the material to do that. And they're going to be removable. So, it's one of those things because I don't even run the smoker unless I'm at an event for multiple days because I don't need to.
Right.
You just
I don't need to run it. I smoke hold, I smoke, cook, and then I have a proofer here that does an amazing job in getting everything warm and I have an oven low, warm it up. Let's get it going, So unless I'm at an event for multiple days, I don't really roll a smoker. I call it fire for effect. I might turn it on low and just have some smell coming out just to get people hungry. But so we'll get those put in. But yeah, it's been a 3-month process that we did not expect to have to go through of not really making any revenue. That's where Black Market Barbecue, Black Ops Barbecue came into play. If you hear Eddie kind of throw that Black Ops Barbecue, where I'm going out just kind of, in the neighborhoods and doing events. Like I have an event in Montgomery Saturday for this family. They're renting out a drift track for drift racing for their daughter. I'm going to be out there serving breakfast burritos in the morning, serving dinner in the evening. And everyone that's at the party gets
and accepting donations.
Yes. Donations, in the form of notes, bank notes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Those don't belong to the government anyway. So now,
this China.
That's right.
China.
Now, the off chance we might offend somebody, let's talk about seasonings. I know folks is complaining about seasoning.
Oh man.
Can you talk to us about how you came up and developed your sauces and your seasonings?
So I was talking to you guys earlier about it. Literally getting married, had a big party, and about $400 worth of food. I was smoking the whole time. I think it was Memorial Day, one of them three-day holidays. And we had a bunch of people over the house for 2 days, and we had no barbecue sauce. Now, mind you, I've never used just the standard barbecue sauce anyway. I've always bought that basic Heinz or whatever and churched it up myself with bourbon and some seasoning and stuff like that. But I didn't even have that. So I was like, no one could go to the store because everyone was adulting. And I'm looking online for recipes for barbecue sauce. And I had half of nothing. I had ketchup, pineapple juice, definitely had bourbon, had some seasonings in there. And I'm just throwing stuff together, heavy on the bourbon. And we had barbecue sauce. And a couple days later, I asked for a plate of food because we had a lot of it and all of it was gone. I was like, well, I know people like my food, but I always have something left. And then after that, people started calling, asking what sauce I had. And I was like, I don't remember shit. And so,
too much bourbon.
Yeah. I think it was that Jim Beam or maybe that Maker's Mark. And my buddy Josh Hatfield, who was a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine. They're smart when they need to be. He goes, I know how we can figure that out. We got to reproduce the environment where you came up with it. So he came over to my house with a big ass bottle of bourbon, and we started drinking and started cooking. And we figured out the recipe, what it was, and then barbecue sauce was born. And the name literally came from we were canning some barbecue sauce one day, and he asked me, he goes, what do you call that? And my beard is my badge of retirement from the military. And I just said, I don't know, barbecue, And he goes, what? I'm like, beard BQ. And he goes, I'm like, beard BQ. I'm like, beard barbecue. And not even thinking about it, I went to school originally for marketing. And one of my professors used to say, when he was in a marketing agency, there was always that one guy that would come in the room after you've been in there grinding for weeks and weeks and weeks on a product, trying to, just break through that wall on ideas. And this motherfucker would walk in day one, be like, yeah, Nike, just do it. And everyone was like, what? That one person that goes, those ideas come sometimes that easy, or it takes a lot of people sitting there grinding to find it. And that's how that happened. Then we had the logo and the artwork, and we had our original seasoning, and I was literally selling it in parking lots of Walmart out of a black bag. People were handing me money. I used to always joke, I hope the cops don't roll up.
It looks bad.
What's going on?
Excuse me, sir.
Handing people
what are you doing with that bag?
I'm slanging this sauce, officer.
Mm-hmm. That's what you call it now, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Luckily, I had a lot of law enforcement friends up there. Matter of fact, I think I'm probably the only person in South Dakota. I don't know anywhere, but I did get pulled over one day on TikTok Live for going 20 miles over the speed limit. I did not get a ticket, but I did sell barbecue sauce.
Shit. That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win. You survived and you made a sale. Shit, that's a win any day.
Yeah, no.
Should have played the lottery.
It's called South Dakota. That's called South Dakota. That's not 100% South Dakota. But the original sauce is all I never wanted a company. I'm not a businessman. I'm just a man with a business. I never really wanted to do this, but I love cooking, and it gave me another way to give back. Because as a veteran, one of the hardest things when you get out is you don't have a mission or a goal, and we have I will say 90% of us that are in the military do have a call to serve in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. And this became a way to convey my love of food to people, seasoning, especially being in South Dakota. Hey, there's something besides ketchup, or sweet baby, sweet. I call it SBR. I'll just say SBR. SBR. That's what we call it. And you can gather that there's something besides SBR, and this is real barbecue sauce, because this is where barbecue sauce came from. This is how it originally was made. It wasn't this thick, pasty, like syrup thing that was just a bunch of sugar, which is the most addictive thing on the planet. You know, it was nice, light, coated well. It derived flavor, because this is not the show. This is just the highlight of the show. The show is the meat. You know, this isn't the barbecue back in the day when we were out there at the lake, you know, on that Weber Kettle 100, and it was that thick coated. And once you took the skin off and that, you know, barbecue sauce, it was just this, you know, smoked chicken on the inside. You know, this coats well, you can inject it well. And like I was saying earlier, a lot of my flavors came from customers, because some people wanted it more spicy. So I just took my normal original has cayenne. I added a hotter cayenne to my spicy. One guy asked me if I could make a mustard. I know nothing about mustards. I'm not from the Carolinas. And then I came up with a mustard that I will put up against any Carolina mustard sauce out there. You know, we had the Carolina Reaper for those crazy folks that love it like blazing hot. And I made my sauce with Carolina Reaper. And I'm looking like Walter White outside in the gas mask, Tyvek, and a burner, like cooking. Luckily, I lived in the hills, so nobody could see me. But if you did, you'd be like, "That dude."
Oh, the FBI.
Okay. Weird. Yeah, I knew them. I knew it. But so a lot of my stuff came, and then I did a lot of vendor shows, and I do listen to my customers and the people out there. So you'd have people, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, I don't really do sauces. I'm a seasoning guy." And I'm thinking like that, and I heard that enough. I just heard it enough where I was just like, how do I translate my sauce in a seasoning? Because one of the biggest components of my sauce is bourbon, because it's not in my sauce. It's not cooked in. So my sauce is made in a certain certain stages. And at the final stage before canning, then the bourbon's added. So it's not cooked out. You know, you will cook it out, but it's not cooked out. So that flavor is still there. You know, because a component of bourbon that is not the alcohol is a component of bourbon. You know, I've had a soda made that tastes like bourbon, and it does, but there's still something missing. It's just that it's alcohol. And so I literally just I used to make the little seasoning packets when I made my sauce in batches, and I had these vacuum sealed seasoning packets. And I took that seasoning packet and I added turbinado sugar, you know, and a couple other things to it that are in seasonings, not necessarily sauces, and tried it. And it was just like, okay, cool. I wish I would have went your route, Eddie, and done seasonings first, because it's just way easier than getting sauces and staying up to 4 a.m. canning your own stuff. Like, I'm just mix some shit, put it in a jar, be like, bye. You know, especially when you get into FDA and labeling and having to get nutrition facts and, you know, mold samples and stuff. So all my stuff has been done like it's supposed to be done when it comes down to labeling, you know, the nutrition facts, ingredient label, even my barcode is a GS1 barcode, which is used worldwide. So this can be on any shelf anywhere in the world, you know, and this is our spicy blend right here.
That's a beautiful thing. So now, do you have any plans? Yeah. Do you have any plans for expansion, whether it's the sauce line, seasonings, or are you thinking brick and mortar, especially seeing all the we're gonna call them hiccups, all the hiccups you've had with your
well, I will never do a true restaurant brick and mortar for just like a restaurant. If I ever do a brick and mortar, it's going to be my production facility. So I did have plans to be my own producer, because where I was in South Dakota, it is a desert for co-packing. There's a lot of co-packing deserts. You know, people are out there looking for a good co-packer, an ethical co-packer, someone that's not going to rip them off, someone that's going to do their product right. And I want to, for one, hire vets to show them when they get out, there's something else that they can do, that they can feel like they're serving. There's another line of work that we getting out, becoming entrepreneurs will help. But also, we make the product there. We do online sales there. We have a front end where you can come and buy the product. I have a test kitchen where I also sell food, like food truck food, at this location. And we also replenish wholesalers, either shipping pallets out or whatever that place is locally, you know. So that'll be, if I do a brick and mortar, that will be it. But food trucking, I will say food trucking is more of the future, because after COVID world, like, I don't have to wait for people to come to me. I can go anywhere. If I had a brick and mortar in South Dakota, I'd be done, you know. But now I can come down to Mobile. I can go to Mississippi. I can pull up right next to Eddie when he don't know I'm coming. You know, I mean, like, what's up, man? Like, what are you doing?
What's up, my guy?
You know, but no, I can go where the people are. And if you have that military mindset, and Eddie knows what I'm talking about, you have to be mobile, you know, like, because if you're stuck in the mud, you're dead. If if you're in this one spot and the whole economy goes to shit, you're done. You know, so I don't have that. And this is if I get to the point where I want to get where I can have someone actually run this, teach them, you know, I want to have a number 2 to come in and teach him how I do what I do, which is not hard. You just have to have the passion to cook. I'm going to give him the keys in the truck and be like, go forth and prosper. Hey, call him up. Yeah, bro, head to Memphis and May. I'll fly in and we'll do it up there. Hey, head over here. I'll catch up with you there, you know, and we could do it up. But I want to do this in multiple locations. I don't want to just be here. You know, I want to be here, you know, as close to California as I could stand, you know, in, you know, multiple locations.
That's awesome.
You know what?
Because I believe this is the future.
And we agree. It's been awesome having a conversation with you, just sitting down, chopping it up, talking about barbecue and business. Before we leave, I want to give you a chance to let our audio listeners know where to find you on the socials.
So you can look up Who Datz, food and catering on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. You can look up beardbqsauce.com as our website. If you hit our proper TikTok and go to my page, I have a beacon and it links to all my social medias. And that's where you can find us on the World Wide Web.
Awesome, Felix. All right, so let's go around the table with the Black Smoke crew. We're going to see where people can find you on the socials. Let's start off with Alton. Where can they find you on the socials, man?
Yes, sir. That's the Dogfathers BBQ, DAWGFATHAS, the Dogfathers Barbecue on all platforms, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
All right. How about you, Eddie? Where can they find you?
Find me on all socials at Eddie Wright BBQ, all one word. That will be Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Because I am a social and I just want to be everywhere.
Go ahead and repeat that again.
At Eddie Wright Barbecue on all socials. That's YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and anything new that may pop up.
Awesome.
Eddie from here.
And Brandon, where can they find you, man?
Man, they can find me on all platforms at BKC Cooks.
All right. And I am Charlie. You can find me everywhere at Maverick Barbecue, MAVERIC BBQ. It has been great to talk to you, Felix. Again, everybody follow all the guys on the platforms and subscribe to the channels on the socials. Follow all the videos and everything. We'll be back with another Black Smoke Barbecue podcast around the corner. And until then, y'all better get used to eating some seasoning, man. Come on. It's 2023. Come on.
Say it with me. Seasoning.
If you don't want seasoning, eat a rice cake.
It won't hurt you.
And it's already written down.
Hallelujah. Look at that. Just gotta read it. Taught you how to read. We out.
Peace.